All right. Thank God that
Laroche
I
is like,
can match. Thank God that I can match Stefan's energy. All right. So I'm going to be active as he is. So I going quickly. It's funny that it's first of all I'm the only one that is actually doing a slide. So, but the funny thing is, I did this before this morning before the conversation, and it seems like I was reading, or I guess within private sector, local product, I mean manufacturers or whatever, we are thinking the same way because there's nothing here that I wrote this morning that is different than the conversation that has been happening. So I'm happy about that, and let's go. So in that public-private, I mean, I think Stefan just spoke about it. We're talking about that public-private partnership because I think I said it earlier. Um, I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. I am not a public policy maker. I am a vice president of a chamber of commerce. I am part of the other association of ADI, of the American Chamber of Commerce, and all these things. However, like Wiki said, we as businesses, we need to empower those associations for them to be the voices of those business of us with that conversation with the public sector, and that's where there is lack of effort. And he said, put your money where your, I don't know, he didn't use the word mouth, but I don't know where where Wiki put it. But I'm just saying you need to put your money behind those associations so they can have that momentum and that numbers to mean something when they're having those conversations and backing up those associations. So I think the national vision of priority, and I think that's what we're talking about in the end. I don't know what Jean-Philippe is doing or the troubles that he's having. I know what I'm dealing with as a manufacturer. Stefan has his different arena is completely different from mine, and Consommé Local has a different problem. So the national vision is very important in that conversation with the public sector, the one that are implementing or giving us that national budget, for which we're not a part of these days. I've been in association since 2008, and as a board member, it's different as a board member where you actually see the conversation and everything. And unfortunately, through the years, I realized that that conversation has basically, I don't want to say fade away, but it's not as active or as productive that it used to be, right? And I think even going back further, it's probably even better than it is now. So I think that part needs to be readdressed, and there needs to be a bigger or better platform for continued conversation between partners and alignment of those visions. If if the public sector knows where my company is going, I'm going to give you an example. I was the only manufacturer of bouillon cube when I started. Today, I am the only manufacturer of milk in Haiti, right? So nobody knows what I'm doing. And I'm encountering this all the time whether it's in a government entity or international entity. Right now, myself, I'm going through a process of GSFI certification and HACCP certification. Why? Because I want to have international exposure, because milk is a different product whenever you go into export. But then again, I need this so people know that what I'm producing is good. Although we've been producing for 10 years, no problems. However, I think I need this certification, as it was spoken, a lot of companies do have. But if they understand what our visions and where am I going through time, for example, in my case, that certification is to go further. International participation in bids like World Food Program or other programs like that. Or it's for me, for example, that is planning if the security situation permits, because I should have started 2 years ago, but that's when all hell broke loose. It is about me empowering local farmers that own cows, right? So I want to be able to buy their milk and introduce it into my production, because I have already scaled up and got to that volume where those things can enter in my production, and that create value. Right now, farmers are just raising cows to sell as meat. But while they're doing that, why don't they make money out of that cow And I am willing, and we've done this thing already, willing to train them for them to get better yield out of their cows. The first time I tried to launch this thing, in 2 days, I talked to a local manufacturer, a big farmer in a certain region in the north, North Tibonite. In 2 days, in less than a week, he had 400 people that were interested to putting in their cows. So there is space to do, and a lot of things that is local. So the dynamics and participation of private sector in all local and national associations. So like I said, we have ADI, we have Chamber of Commerce, we have all the chambers that are spread out over the country. So there's the dynamic, actually we're having this conversation also, what is happening, the reality of the department or the peninsula of the South and the peninsula of the North, I don't say peninsula, but anyway, the department of the North is very different from what we are dealing with in the North, in Port-au-Prince. For example, we're seeing everything that is happening in Cap Haitian versus how we are immobilized and kind of ghosted in a lot of things that we are able to do in Port-au-Prince. So we have to have that better conversation and alignment and that decentralization. Decentralization, sometimes people think it's going to be having a lot of local. No, it's partnerships between somebody that can be in Port-au-Prince, but having a distribution or a filling station that is in the North or in the South. It could be many things. And then creating that ecosystem. That ecosystem is not only the manufacturer, it's the manufacturer, it's that local government, meaning the mayor of that area, is the trash, how do they are picking up the trash, is the sanitation, and is those kind of environment. And we're talking about at the national level, where it's just the Minister of Commerce, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Agriculture, whatever there may be, that interaction that needs to be, that national vision that we're talking about, and making all the stakeholders sit down and have a common vision. And actually, and I'm coming back to the thing that I said earlier, is about trust. Right now, like everybody knows, there's I don't know, there's that thing where they think, well, national producers or the big brands or whatever, it's all about us making money. For me, for example, in the bouillon cube and the milk, I am competing as the only one at every time. I'm the only producer versus what is imported. And my fight has always having that conversation, telling them I'm national made, creating that link between me giving you a quality product with it compared to the one that is coming from wherever it's coming from. I have that same quality, but you still have that perception. And I think that perception doesn't only come from me fighting by myself. It's a national conversation. It's a national policy. It has to be driven from the top. And I personally, if anybody knows me, I really think leadership is very important, whether it's at my level or my employees. It's all about the example that you set for employees. If my department head of production head or sales manager is a great leader, is because I'm giving him that example. So that leadership comes from the top and it has to be spread down all over until you reach the bottom floor. So talking a little bit further, what I'm talking about identification of the players. I don't know what everybody did. I remember when Digicel Entrepreneur de l'année started. And I don't remember in what capacity I participated in. I was not a contestant or anything, but it was amazing to me to see what was being done in different areas or even locally in Port-au-Prince in the country. So, and I'm always having the conversation. They don't know, even the people that are giving us franchises or signing this company exists, they don't know what we do. We've never been visited. So we have to have that mapping by region up to the smallest area to find out what is everybody doing, what type of product are they doing, what is their capacity, what are their limits, how you can help them, where are they going? Does anybody know that I want to do something that is going to help local cow farmers? So that's one of the things that I think is very important, is that in that national conversation, identifying the players, aligning visions of the players and the country strategy, capacity building, certification, access to local or international market or partnerships, knowledge, because if somebody has already went through something before me, that shared knowledge is going to help me go faster and further. And networking. For example, I've never met Stefan or Yvgar. Heard about them, love the energy. I'm in South Florida right now. We should meet. So, and I have, when I say, I'm sorry?
Let's do it.
I will. Networking, because as a person that is actually going the back and forth, unfortunately, my kids have to be here. So I feel, the funny thing is I'm starting something in the US right now. It's not really for export for Haiti, something different. However, it's within that local, the US market. As a Haitian person that was living in Haiti for the past, well, until maybe 18 months ago, I'm finding myself in a situation where I don't know what is going on. I don't have access. I decided to take an office for my startup at the Hackoff incubator office, right? Because I had the information, I met somebody. But the funny thing is, although I'm having an office at Hackoff, I haven't had that conversation with the board members. Randomly, I've seen, but nobody has come to me and asked me, what am I doing? How are they helping me? So that problem is not only nationally, but it's also when you're talking about the problem of exporting to international markets, believe that us Asians that are in the international markets are forgetting that there's a conversation or having that same mindset that we don't know what is happening in Haiti and don't know the value of the products that are being made and the quality that is being made. All right. And then also, we're talking about the stakeholders, all the partners. We're talking about the national producers, the central government, the local government, and all the different associations, whether national or local, social, how you call this again? Private sectors, associations, or anything that can be that can support the community, as we said. And then now we're gonna go to the branding. Yeah, Stefan was just mentioning this. We need to do like Digicel did. It's funny that's an international company that started this. There is nothing that is done locally to put value or shed light on national products. So presenting the national products value, whether big or small, we're not talking about the Brana and Hooligan. This is all good because we take pride in Lakuan. On Kolakuan. We're taking pride in Prestige. We're taking pride into Babunku, but there's only so much more, right? And the funny thing is those companies are kind of internationally backed or have been there for ages, but maybe separately would be different for Babunku, but their market is completely international. So they have to have that kind of vision and everything. So I'm just saying that we need to shed light on everything that is made locally. So pride to be Haitian and consuming Haitian made. So that comes back to Consommé Local. When Consommé Local existed, I presented my product. And I thought it was a great experience because a lot of people don't even know, oh, your product is made in Haiti. Oh, they never knew that, right? So that's awesome. And then policy around capacity building and protecting the assets. The assets are the national brands and the producers. It doesn't matter what size they are, big or small. The capacity building is important. You know, somebody can start a small project, which is what I'm doing in the US. I am using a co-packer. At one point, my idea is to build up my own plant in the US. I've done beverages in Haiti, so I know how to put up a plant, but I started with a co-packer. So I'm just saying capacity building and seeing that vision is part of that conversation. And then protecting the brand and local producers and locally produced. Borders, as an association member, board member of ADI and the Chamber of Commerce, we've gone to Washington, we've had that conversation. We need to protect the borders. The Dominicans do, just look next door. I cannot get into Dominican Republic to sell even my bouillon cube. I haven't been able to do that until, not actually, we never did really penetrated Dominican Republic. The milk, forget it. Internationally, there's a lot of barriers because they're protecting their farmers. Can't blame them, but we should do the same with our local production. And let me give you another example, a personal example on when you put value into local production. I was the first manufacturer of bouillon cube. My competition were 3 manufacturers in Dominican Republic. we're talking about big manufacturer. We're talking about Nestle, that represented Maggi. We had Unilever, that represented Knorr, and you have Koala, that represented Criolito, what was the name? But lesser known, Koala is a big Colombian company that also produces in 7 countries in Latin America. So they're pretty big. And I am the only one. So these three, the prices of products in Dominican Republic were able to sell at a higher level price, and they were dumping in Haiti. So at one point, I felt suffocated, and we went to our local government complaining about this. I had to become an FBI agent, kind of prove this is the price they're doing it is. This is the price they're selling it to Haiti. They're selling at cost or lower. It makes no sense. Protect me. A lot of conversation. I wanted to go to the OMC, a lot of things I cannot do as a manufacturer. I have to go through my government. There wasn't that will or that chance, that fight to help me that. I wrote the documents for them. Eventually, however, there was somebody in the government that understood it enough to have that conversation and to understand what was going. The proof was in the pudding. And then they put a quota. Stupidly enough, they put a quota on the imports. By having a quota, it gave me a little bit of space. Not enough, because that quota was not even perfect the way they were doing it. You know how it is in Haiti. However, that conversation in that conversation only, the international company decided they needed to be in Haiti. They were asking, no, don't put the quota now. Give me 3 years. My defense was, I've been there in 13 years. You have 13 years to come and join me here. So why can't you do it now? So the quota was put in place, and all those companies within the next day were knocking on my door to buy my company. I eventually talked to Nestle, refused their offer, talked to Unilever, refused their offer, and then sold to Koala. So it was a choice of the shareholder company, but we did that. But what happened now today, there are 4 manufacturers of bouillon cubes in Haiti, just because we created that situation where we are valuing what is produced locally. 4 manufacturers are based in Haiti. One of them was an importer from I don't know what country. One of them is actually Koala. Unilever has started the conversation, but never put foot in the door, because obviously this happened in 2019, just because everything. Nestle is still having conversation and hasn't made that choice, but there are still 4 local manufacturers. So there is room for growth if we value what is being made locally.
Yep. Okay.
And wait, one thing I wanted to finish, for some reason, I can't see it. In putting the brand locally and shining that big projector on the mat and exporting. In a lot of countries, we're seeing about there's pro Chile, pro Mexico, pro this. I went to Quito. My God, we're talking about pro Ecuador is extremely busy. It doesn't matter. You're talking about that exporting to other countries. They are helping any small local producers. They bundle them together and then they help them export, because everything goes to pro Ecuador. So there is a possibility to getting our products internationally if there is that policy PPP relationship between us manufacturers and the government, and that will to move ahead. Thank you, everyone.